What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me for Real Talk NFT. As you know, I'm your host, Brian. You know my amazing co-host, Joe. We have an awesome guest here today, somebody I've been trying to get on the podcast for a few weeks now. It's the CEO, Jake, of Saku Monsters. Saku Monsters is this extremely addictive Web3 blockchain game I've personally been involved in for a couple months now, so I'm fired up to have Jake on the podcast. Jake, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty well.
We're thrilled to have you on, man. I think I'm more thrilled than anybody because I discovered Saku Monsters, the game, I think really early on. Just a few months ago, it was a free to download, free to play game. And for the audience, it was essentially just you would log in and you would tap this egg daily by these 2 notifications. I'm going to let Jake kind of get into the details of the game and we'll ask him all sorts of questions. But before we dive in, Jake, tell me a little bit about the background. How did you even start, getting into the crazy world of Web3 and now you're the CEO of Saku?
It's a good question. My introduction to Web3 was mostly from NFTs. I started collecting early Solana NFTs, so I'm happy to see everything come full circle and have Saku Monsters on Solana. I was a heavy trader in Solana NFTs early on, back in like 2021, 2020 maybe before. I just would trade every day, and I saw so many metas come and go. And I learned a lot that way, and I saw what worked and what didn't on the marketing side. And the idea of Saku Monsters kind of started forming years ago, and it finally came together this year.
Yeah, awesome. Joe and I are both big fans of Solana and everything they're building, and we've been getting closer and closer to the Solana NFTs, so we're definitely can relate with you there. Tell us a little bit about Saku Monsters, if you don't mind kind of giving like the audience like the complete breakdown, how it was kind of like a free-to-play, free-to-download game, kind of where we are right now.
Sure. So Saku Monsters, we've kind of split the development process into these things we're calling phases. When we first launched and hit the App Store and, we're ready to go on socials, that was phase 1. And all it consisted of was this egg you had on a home screen of an app, and you would get a notification twice a day at a random time. And you would go and tap your egg. So it would say, it's time to tap your egg. You'd open your app as quick as possible, tap an egg, and then you would earn an arbitrary amount of points, based on how fast you responded. And this number was based on how many other people you beat. So as the user base grew, more coins were distributed. There was a lot of speculation at that time. No one really knew, what was what these coins meant. Some people didn't even know it was a crypto-oriented game. And that speculation really helped us grow in that first month or two. As that phase progressed, we released more information about how an airdrop was coming for these participants. And there was a much, much bigger picture behind the scenes with our monsters.
I'll tell you what, that egg drop, Jake, sorry, cutting you off there, but that egg drop, to just give everyone, I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. So this egg would pop up on your home screen. You get these notifications. I'd be driving my car, walking my kids into school, literally doing these random things. I'd be like, oh my gosh, everyone stop. We got to click the egg. And it was just a race to beat all these people. And it became so addictive. It sounds so simple, everyone, but it became so addictive that I was like relieved when I got the second notification of the day, like finally hit the egg. I got my points for the day. I was relieved, like, all right, I don't have to go into the app for a few hours, but I would find myself still logging into the app, just clicking that egg. And I'm like, wait, I've already clicked 2. Sorry for cutting you off, man. I just want to give some color
exactly
about how addictive.
Yeah, the feedback was insane. We heard a lot of stories like that. There were whole families that would tell us, everyone in our family has the egg app, and when there's a notification, everyone screams and they run to their phone. It was pretty crazy. And that experience of just, getting everyone involved at the same time, just for a little bit, because, people are busy, they have busy days. But that kind of experience that we dialed in on, I think was attributed to our success a lot early on.
What was the influence or inspiration behind that particular mechanic in the game? Was this something that you experienced in the past? Mm-hmm. Are you a gamer? Where'd that come from?
I'm definitely a big gamer, but and I take a lot of inspiration from tons of different games that I grew up with. But that particular feature, I was inspired by an app called Be Real. I'm not sure if you guys have ever used it. It's pretty relatively new, like in the social media sphere. It's kind of like an Instagram, but you can only post one picture a day. And it's a frontwards and backwards facing picture. So, you open your phone and then it takes what's in front of you and then a selfie of yourself. And this blew up like 2 or 3 years ago, like really, really blew up. But what was really cool is that everyone got the notification that it's time to post a Be Real at the same time. And what's really like that just that tiny adjustment alone is actually like really interesting when you look at it from a psychological level, because you have all your friends, because you add your friends on this app, it's a social media at the end of the day. You have all your friends who post a picture at the same time. So everyone gets a notification, and then you get this great amount of content in front of your face where everyone has, this is what I'm doing right now. This is my new picture. You go through them. Maybe you comment on one or two, and then that's it. And you only need to check in for like 2 minutes a day. It's not like Instagram where you're getting new content. You want to get a new batch of content every hour. This is like you get everything you need in 3 minutes, and that's it. And I thought that'd be really powerful if it was translated to something similar in the crypto space.
Dude, it worked. It worked. Those notifications, literally. Again, I'm going to tell the audience a little bit about the OG days of the Monsters here. That when you're tapping this egg, people found out that you could just go and you could walk around your house with the app open, tapping it nonstop, because you were ranked against Joe. You're ranked against everyone, man. So if you got like, you wanted to be like 100th or 1,000th, and then as people started to grow, like it was so hard to get in the hundreds, and then you just wanted to be in the thousands. I literally would be like doing my dishes, and I'd get one of my kids. I'd be like, "Hey, just tap this egg. Just tap it while Daddy does dishes. It'll take me 10 minutes." And they would want to give up after a couple minutes. I'm like, "Just tap it," because you could catch it and like be like fifth. And I never had that luck, but I had friends that were like, "Oh yeah, I was just at the gym tapping nonstop," and I'm like 77th. And I was like, it sounds crazy, but it became such a cult following. And then you have this community within the app with this message board where once you got like 50th or 100th or whatever it is, you would like then basically like tout it and brag about how quick you tap this egg. And I'm gonna give a little bit of a sneak peek of what phase 2. Now we're in phase 2, and we haven't been tapping the egg for about 30 days, and I've had withdrawal. I'm like, I need to tap this egg. I've been checking it. They've been starting to give hints about, hey, these eggs are going to start hatching. I'm like, bring it. I have no idea what's in these eggs, but bring it. I know it's a monster of some sort. And we started getting notifications, but when you hit the notification now, you have to get it within, I think, 20 minutes, Jake, and it accounts to like cracking your egg, and a little game pops up. Now it's like interactive, and you're playing this game on your phone. And that's where we are phase 2, right? I'm not jumping the gun here.
No, I think you're a little before the gun. The opposite of that expression, I think. People have been hatching their eggs as of the last few days. Yeah, there's people maybe they're better at the game. Hatched. It depends on how you how you score on the game. And we're adding, new mini games to that roster. I kind of want it to feel like if you were playing Mario Party with your friends and you get a little selection animation of which mini game you're going to play. Right now there's only 2. But people seem to really like it. It's some sort of rhythm game. So if you have any Guitar Hero experience, this will be a breeze for you. But now people are notified still twice a day. The minute I'm playing around with it, now it's about, we're leaving it open for an hour. But you respond. If you have eggs on your, that you've purchased, or there's also a free egg that it's seasonal. So every season we offer a new free egg. That becomes an NFT at the end of the season. But if you have eggs on your home screen and you're incubating them, is what we call it, you'll get notified, and you'll go and you'll rush to the app and play this little mini game sequence. And based on how you score, that'll progress the cracks in your egg. So right now it's set at about 4 perfect scores in a mini game will crack your egg completely. Then your egg will be jumping around on your home screen, and you're cued to click it. And then that minting process happens. So you're waiting for the NFT to mint, and you see an animation, and then you're given a monster.
Tell me a little bit about the game as a newbie. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Ryan.
no problem.
No, you're great. I just want to talk about my eggs.
Ryan's avid about it. So is our other guest, who was really avid about it also. And I just wanted to see, you know, as a newcomer coming in, I downloaded the game. I'm trying to get in on this excitement that Brian's talking about. I just want to understand, what's the like high level view of the game? Is it collecting monsters? Is it just being one on a leaderboard and you get a cool prize? What would be maybe even a little bit of the lore, if there is that at all?
That's a great question. Yeah, there's definitely lore, but you know, we all have a big vision for what we want Saku Monsters to become. But I told the team really early on that I don't think anyone in this space, in the NFT space specifically, has really created a great collecting experience. Because at the end of the day, NFTs are digital collectibles, or to me, they felt like digital collectibles. But when you have 10,000 procedurally generated PFP after 10,000 procedurally generated PFP collections, it doesn't, yeah, you're collecting NFTs, but as a whole. But to me, collecting is, you know, you have a catalog, whether that's a Pokedex or, you know, for me, I was collecting these figurines early on in my childhood called Go-Go's. And, you know, you have a catalog and there's duplicates and you find, oh, your friend has this one, I have this one, let's trade, you know? You want to collect all of them. And that experience didn't really exist in the NFT space. It did early on with like Top Shot and Vivi, which was another app platform. But you know, when you're going on OpenSea, 99% of these collections, they don't feel like collectibles to me. And it could be to you, that's okay. But to me, that's not the experience I really want in this space. So I was trying to build something like that. So yes, there's thousands of different, you know, if you have one monster we have called Odin, there's going to be thousands of him. But the experience is to try and collect them all. So you want your friend to have one too. All that to say, I think I'm a little lost in your question. What was your question again?
No, I think you answered it perfectly.
Cool.
Which was I wouldn't say endpoint, but what's the adventure that we're taking?
Right.
Is it collecting points, being one leaderboard? Is it like Pokemon Go, where you just collect as many as you can? And I see a little bit of Pokemon Go here also. It kind of reminds me of that.
Lots of inspiration there. Yeah, Pokemon Go actually really felt like Pokemon Go taught me that, you know, to have a collectible item, it doesn't really need to be physical. It doesn't need to be on my desk. It doesn't need to be a card in my binder. Pokemon Go gave me those feelings, and I said to myself, like, why can't I get that feeling from NFTs? It even pushes the boundaries even more about how you can collect these digital assets. So yeah, there's a lot of inspiration from Pokemon Go. But yeah, so early on, I was trying to tell the team, we really need to dial in on this collecting experience before we can do anything else, because we have grandiose plans. We want it to feel a lot like Tamagotchi and virtual pet features that we want to do. We want it to feel a lot like Webkins, where you have all your monsters that you've collected, you know, somewhere on your on our platform, and you can watch them, you know, hang around and do activities, and you know, you can build a little world for them and buy different decorations for like Animal Crossing. There's a lot of inspiration from a lot of great IP, but I really needed to make sure that we can make the collecting experience as fun and as simple and as, you know, similar to the collecting experiences that we had growing up before we actually, you know, do all the fun, crazy stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of direction in that space, but I really want to make sure this experience is as good as possible. You know, in phase 2 right now, we have people who are cracking open their eggs and starting to collect based on our Saku log, which is kind of like a Pokedex, right? You see the list of the monsters you haven't collected, and then you could kind of grow your collection that way. And so, I'm missing this one. Let me go ask a friend or buy it on Magic Eden. But you know, we're getting to the point where we could start building those things too.
There's been some speculation that the points that I earned in phase 1 could equate to a token. Can you either confirm or deny that? Okay, I figured
I can confirm it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I thought I heard it mentioned a few times on the spaces. So you also have like a token ecosystem, tokenomics behind this game. How are those tokens? Because I believe we had to buy gems, if I remember correctly. So they just had a recent. So to tap this egg originally, you would have this free egg. And then just, I believe, a couple of days ago, you could buy this new blue egg. And I believe there was Jake, was there 20,000 total?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, 20,000 blue eggs, and they were around $40 USD each. And you had to go on the website and buy gems, and that was the currency within the game. How is the Saku token, is that going to replace gems, or how are those two worlds going to live together?
The gems is definitely our core revenue model. So we like to think that that's how the company is going to move forward, and we're going to sell eggs and new monsters with our gem shop, and people will buy gems. That's not to say that, when we have the token, there's not going to be exclusive eggs that you can buy just with token too. I think we're trying to do a little bit of everything that'll please everyone. It's the same sort of reason why we have a free egg that we do every season, that is still an NFT and is still hatchable. So yeah, I'm not saying that you can't buy new eggs with token. I'm sure we're going to do something along those lines, but the gems is definitely our main revenue model.
And we saw some big sales. We saw some big sales yesterday. Some of the monsters were hatching. I think I saw like a legendary go for 16 soul. Is that correct?
Ooh. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you were buying these eggs, Joe, for $40 USD just the other day, and I wasn't sure how it was all going to pan out. So I bought a few, kind of speculating, but I was so invested in this game over months of tapping this egg. I'm like, I'm in it. Like, I'm going to now dedicate some money to this. And I was perfectly fine with it, but I saw the floor was right around 1 soul each. So pretty early on, a pretty good return.
Yeah, that's my job, is to make sure, like, you hear a lot of founders say, oh, floor price doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But I think that's a crazy thing to say, because, of course it matters. You would never hear a CEO of a publicly traded company say, oh, our share price doesn't matter. It matters. Right. It's your attention comes from floor price, engagement, it all comes from floor price. So, something I think I really want to make sure that happens is that, the floor of the worst monster you can hatch is always going to be worth more than buying an egg for $40.
Wow. Yeah, we don't hear much founders come on here and talk about floor price, so admirable for that, definitely. Let me ask you, I don't know how long has it been out for half a year? How long have you been playing now, Brian? When did this originate?
I'm going to get, Jake knows the real answer, but before he answers, I'm going to guess 4 months, and I played 3 months, and then they had a month break here. Is that right, Jake?
Yeah, we started end of January.
Wow, end of January. Okay.
That's when we launched. There was a lot of work that went into it beforehand.
Awesome. And it seems like you really have a keen audience here. And in a short amount of time, I'm sure there's a lot that you've learned so far. You mentioned that even people who aren't on Web3 are downloading the game and playing it. Do you have insight on, is it all middle-aged men, in Western America playing this game? Or where's the demographic? I'm just curious, is it around the world? Is it available around the world? That's a good question also.
It's available everywhere in the world, but only on iOS as of now. So not on Android yet.
Gotcha. Has there been any interesting insights from the data that you've seen so far?
Yeah, we're really big in France. Apple tells us we're really big in France, and I know it like based on Twitter too and stuff. There's a big French community, which is cool because I'm from Quebec, and I speak French. It's my second language, so I can speak with them and communicate with them.
I'm actually going to Paris in a month from now. Curious, is there going to be a AR, application on top of this? We might be going too far here, but if it's drawing inspiration from Pokemon Go, then that's something that a lot of my friends still play and enjoy to this day.
Yeah, my dad still plays it too. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of people I know who play it. Yeah, maybe if there's I'll add a feature if it's useful, right? Like if it's fun and useful and unique, for sure. If we can find a good reason to have AR features, why not?
One thing I loved about the game is they had also like a referral system. I think I even sent you my referral back in the day, Joe. So I don't think you signed up for that bad boy. But no, they had a referral system, but you didn't really get that many points for referrals. Like it was nice because I was referring friends here and there. Hey, check this out. Not sure what's going to pan out to be, but you click an egg twice a day and it's absolutely addicting. And the one thing I liked about it wasn't like just the whales who had tons of following on Twitter would get all these points, because the referrals weren't worth nearly as much as actually tapping the egg early. So it really rewarded people who were like diligent to like walk around their house tapping the egg nonstop until they put actually a bug feature in that if you hit your egg too many times in a row that it froze. So then you couldn't do that anymore. It was a
we added that by surprise. They freaked out. People freaked out because they were used to tapping like right before.
I said some nasty stuff in the community board for sure. No, of course not.
Well, that's another thing. We don't have a Discord. We have the community board in our app. Yeah, there's a community tab where it's pretty much just like a Discord, but just one general server, general channel, and people talk there. It's cool because we can keep everything, directly on the app.
Oh, I'm just gonna throw this out. I would just think how many, tons of interaction this app would get. I would love to like get a sneak peek, maybe off the pod one day, of like the metrics behind this app, because they didn't even have like the working game yet. And people were just in it all day, every day. And I was like, I just need, like, could you imagine like the metrics of this? That it's like, we don't even have our game hasn't even launched yet, but we have 200,000 people going to our app for 4 hours a day. And it was a sharp move. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry for cutting you off, bud.
No, I was just curious because there's a lot of mobile app games that come out on a daily that's not Web3 related for Web2. It's a steep competition over there, but you guys seem to definitely carve something out for yourself. What learning lessons have there been? Because the only Web3 mobile app game that I played is StepIn. Surprising they're still around to this day and launching collaborations and whatnot. So they're more like a move to earn. I don't imagine that you're anything to earn, like is play to earn type of thing. Or I could be wrong. Having maybe, I would say 2 to 3 years of gaming underneath our belts in Web3 land. What inspiration and also kind of what pitfalls are you looking to avoid here?
Yeah, I've never been a massive fan of play to earn. It never made sense to me. Like even years, right when I just started seeing it, that kind of narrative start, I just was like, it doesn't make sense. I play to have fun. I don't need to play as a job. I love video games, and I always wanted the main motivation to play games would be to have fun. I think it could, earning any crypto while you're playing video games could work, but it's a very narrow, it's very narrow to find that balance. That's not saying that you won't earn more Saku coin that's coming when you play Saku Monsters, but we got to find a good balance for sure. And then StepIn was to me, it taught us about how they actually got on the App Store, because Apple can be tough. They have they have a lot of constraints and stuff, and their model just kind of worked. They were allowed to be on the App Store, so we kind of took a lot of inspiration there, and with the gems, and then you buy them, and then you buy them off app, then you buy the assets, and then you can just transfer your own Solana into the app. So I'm very, very grateful StepIn exists, because it was a good inspiration.
So how can new users get involved? I know we're right at the beginning of season 2 here. Are there going to be more egg drops in the future? I know you said you mentioned that every season there's going to be a new free egg. So just kind of walk me through, because I'm sure a lot of people within the audience are going to want to get involved, and just curious how we can direct them to benefit from everything that we're talking about in the best way.
Sure. I mean, if I was someone who has never downloaded or even heard of Saku Monsters, I think there's really no reason not to just go on the App Store, if you have an iPhone at least, download the app, claim that free slime egg, which is the egg of the season, the first free egg. And then, if you see notifications and you're not you're not invested in anything, you don't have a monster, but you have that egg, feel free to, respond to those notifications, play the game. You'll still earn coin from that game. It won't be a substantial amount because you just have that free slime egg, but why not? It's really not a very demanding platform. You get out what you put in. So that's what I would recommend for sure.
Awesome. Any ideas, any ways to partnership with some other Web3 companies or Web2 companies? Curious what your macro view is there.
Yeah, there's some things that we're working on that are really interesting. We have not done any partnerships or any sort of collaborations as to this day, but there's some big ones that we really want to get done that I wish I could speak of now, but I can't. Yeah,
we won't tell
some
anyone.
pretty big ones.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can buy. So we were talking about this is on the Solana blockchain, and obviously with your past experience and expertise with buying and selling and trading NFTs early on in Solana. It makes sense why you would have chose that ecosystem, but to buy these monsters, if you don't want to go the egg route, you could just buy them directly on Tensor, on Magic Eden, all the above?
Yes, correct. Magic Eden and Tensor. And what we're adding during phase 2 is, an API, a marketplace API directly in the app. So you won't even have to go onto your browser anywhere and transfer your NFT in. It'll happen all within on the app. Also, beyond that, like swapping and making trades with other users. So I'm really trying to make that collecting experience as good as possible on our platform before we, have any bigger thing come. And that's coming.
So we just started season 2. What's going to determine the end of season 2? Is it like once all these eggs hatch? What's the end game for this season?
No, not necessarily. Like, we're doing one egg at a time. Like, we just did our blue egg. That was 25. It can hatch, one of 25 of our monsters from a greater generation of 150 monsters. You can think like Pokemon in that regard. I don't know if season 2 will end before we've sold all those eggs. We're kind of playing it by ear on that front. We want people to start growing attachments to their monsters before we just throw another 25 monsters at them. But yeah, the start of phase 3 really starts with that airdrop happening. And when that happens, I want there to be a use case, 90% of the use case for the token to already exist. I would never do the token airdrop and the token sale like before there's a use case for it, which is something you see that happens a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes a ton of sense. I mean, you're being methodical about how you're building this game out. And up until this point, even with a rather simple idea, you've definitely captivated me. And I know a lot of friends of mine and everybody I talk about Saku Monsters with, like we all have like the same stories and like the stuff I was talking about earlier in the podcast. So you're definitely on the right track. I want to give you an opportunity. I know you mentioned it just a little bit ago, but I want to give you an opportunity if you want anybody in the community to find you or at least find the game. What's the best way to get connected?
Sure. The best start to kind of dive into Saku Monsters is definitely our Twitter. It's at Saku Monsters. Myself, my at is at Saku Tap, so like tap like TAP and Saku at Saku Tap, and I think that's a really good start.
Awesome, yeah, I love the name too, at Saku Tap. That's clever. That's good. But Jake, really appreciate you jumping on the podcast. I definitely would love to have you on as the game progresses. We're so early on in the game, in the seasons here. And it sounds like you have some big plans, some big partnership announcements. We have the token release. So a lot of good stuff going on. But absolutely would love to have you back on. Really appreciate you jumping on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'd love to come back.